and much required discussion on environment and human right, as we all aware that these particular thing cannot be get separated. They have to be go hand in hand if we talk about the human right or we talk about the environmental aspects. So today we have with us one of the eminent personality in this particular field who has served as a justice to Nainital High Court Uttarakhand, and who also has been a chairman of State Uttarakhand Human Rights Commission. He is also one of the known authority and authored a number of books over human rights aspect, constitutional law, as well as the IPR, and many more authorities over the subject matter. He is also currently arbitrating some landmark and related issues over arbitration disputes, and covering all the aspect with relation to environment law and human rights. Justice Tandon has also been awarded with the Sahitya Puraskar for writing a book on Muslim Vidhi in Hindi by government of Uttarakhand. So overall, we are having a great personality, a great authority on the subject matter on which we are dealing today. So I welcome you, Justice Sir. So if you can kindly, without without wasting any further time, I just want to hand over the floor to Justice Rajesh Tandon. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. The Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Mr. Chopra, Dean Faculty of Law, the students, and all the associates concerning the School of Law and all that, all are welcome to this seminar, and I salute to everybody who is present here. Before I come to the environmental jurisprudence as well as sustainable development, as well as to the concept of environmental law, I would like to invite certain provisions of the constitutional law and human rights, because the subject of today is closely related to the constitutional law with human rights. When I come to the Article 48, I think the students must be aware of Article 48A, that is protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife. I am only referring to the provisions wherever the word environment has been used, because the Constitution has used the environment, that is protection and improvement of environment. The state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. That is the mandate of the Constitution of India. And apart from that, there is another Article 51A, that is the constitutional, the Constitution has mandate a fundamental duty upon a citizen by virtue of Article 51A subclass G to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compass of our living creatures. That means the authors of the Constitution were fully aware that the environment has to be protected, and for that purpose sufficient time has been given by the authors of the Constitution by getting this Article 51A and Article 41A, that is with effect from 3rd of January 1977. Now, before that, if you will look to the provisions of the Human Rights Act, there is a clause of Section 2D. What is human rights? Human rights means the rights relating to life, liberty, equality, and dignity. If we travel to the definition of Section 2D, which was drafted in the year 1993, that is after the Constitution, after 48A, this has come in 1993, where the human rights has been classified into rights relating to life. Life is such a word which you can expect what it requires. What is the requirement of a life? And it is connected with dignity. It is connected with dignity. Therefore, life and dignity both are concerned to the environment. If you have a good environment, your life will be good. If you have a good environment, you will have a dignity to live in the premises itself. And therefore, the large number of cases have come up where this word of life has been defined. If I take, first of all, a judgment of the Land Industries Association versus Environmental Protection Agency, and that was a judgment of very important line, which line has been given by the Supreme Court. And in 1980, Clean Air Act did not allow economic factors to limit the establishment of health-based standards. It clearly proves that use of judicial review makes the judicial process complicit in the executive branch's efforts to avert or avoid strengthening of environmental law. Leading environmental commentators have branded this the abuse of administrative law. And therefore, what I emphasize, that environmental law has been a matter of a subject of discussion on the courts since long time, and from time to time the judgments have come. And one of the judgment of the Supreme Court, that is Kapila Hingorani's case, that was a very important judgment on the aspect of this environmental factor, where the life, liberty, and all that has been discussed in the Kapila Hingorani's case. The Supreme Court has said in the Kapila Hingorani, that is 2003, volume 6, Supreme Court cases 1, this court upheld the right to shelter in P.G. Gupta versus State of Gujarat and others, and also relied upon the judgment of Chameli Singh's case, where the Supreme Court has said, in any organized society, right to live as a human being is not ensured by meeting only the animal needs of a man. It is secured only when he is assured of all facilities to develop himself and is freed from restrictions which inhibit his growth. This called the sustainable development. All human rights are designed to achieve this object. Right to live guaranteed in any civilized society implies the right to food, water. Then the Supreme Court has said decent environment. The emphasis on decent environment, education, medical care, and shelter. These are the basic human rights known to any civilized society. Now the Supreme Court has further, in the Chameli Singh's case, has held right to shelter when used as an essential requisite to the right to live should be deemed to have been guaranteed as a fundamental right. When you say fundamental right, it has come under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, as well as the 2D of the Protection of Human Rights, that is the definition of human rights, because under section 2D of the Protection of Human Rights says rights relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts of India. Therefore, the good environment, good air, pollution-free environment is a basic need contained under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, along with Section 2D of the Protection of Human Rights Act that has been emphasized by the Supreme Court in the case of Chameli Singh's case. Therefore, what has been emphasized in the Chameli Singh's case is right to shelter, when used as essential requisite to the right to live, should be deemed to have been guaranteed as a fundamental right, as is enjoined in the directive principles. The state should be deemed to be under an obligation to secure it for its citizens, of course subject to its economic budgeting. In a democratic society, as a member of the organized civil community, one should have a permanent shelter so as to physically, mentally, and intellectually equip oneself to improve his excellence as a useful citizen, as enjoined in the fundamental duties, and to be a useful citizen and equal participation in democracy. All these things, participation and all that, is possible. Only a good shelter has been provided, and shelter is under the fundamental rights, that is also under the human rights, Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Then the Supreme Court further in Chameli Singh's case has said the term of life used in Article 21 of the Constitution of India has a wide and far-reaching concept. It includes livelihood and so many other facets thereof. Life has been observed by the Supreme Court means something more than mere existence, mere animal existence, and the inhibition against the deprivation of life extends to all those limits and faculties by which life is enjoyed. This is the Supreme Court judgment, and the Supreme Court has also relied upon while giving the judgment of the Chameli Singh's case, that is Olga Tallies and others versus Bombay Municipal Corporation and others. And in that judgment also, even the right of the hawkers, right of the street pavements, rights of the persons who are having their livelihood on the pavements, and they have no shops, they have nothing of the kind. All those rights have been saved by the Supreme Court. And if I take another example of the Supreme Court judgment regarding right to shelter, right to free environment, and that is all connected with Article 21. The Supreme Court further in 1984, Volume 3 SCC, page 161, has said in Bandhu Mukti Morcha case, I am referring these judgments because of the students are here. They should have on the tips, these judgments, they should have on the tips, because the petroleum industry is situated in such an environment that the entire greenery is there. I have visited twice and I have seen that the entire premises is fully equipped with the greeneries, and therefore they must have on the tips these judgments, which shows that the Bandhu Mukti Morcha judgment, it is the fundamental right of everyone in this country, assured under the interpretation given to Article 21 by this court in various cases regarding the human dignity, free from exploitation. This right to live with human dignity enshrined in Article 21 derives its life breath from the directive principles of state policy, and the protection has been given by our fundamental rights, that Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Therefore, all these judgments should be on the tips. Now I am coming to the exactly on the situation of Uttarakhand. Mr. Students, our chancellor and all that, Uttarakhand is a basic of environmental factors. All these environmental factors have started from Dehradun, from Nainital, and from all over Uttarakhand. Now, one upon other, I will cite before you. When I was Additional Advocate General of Uttarakhand at Nainital, at that time, a problem has come, and a case, one citizen of Nainital, namely Dr. Ajay Singh Rawat, has brought this fact before the Supreme Court and the High Courts and all that, that the Nainital is a place of visitors. Large number of visitors are going on, and horse dung are destroying this Nainital from Tallital to Mallital. Then the matter came up before the Supreme Court regarding the pollution, regarding shelter, and all these factors have been brought to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has laid down the certain factors in the judgment of Ajay Singh Rawat, which I am bringing before you. That is a very important judgment regarding the environmental factors. Lake water and horse dung are so much factors are there. The Supreme Court has said the environmental degradation has taken place inter alia because of increase in pollution, overgrazing, lopping, and hacking of oak forests, fires, land. The pollution in the lake is because of both inorganic and organic causes, the nearby minerals, namely salts, copper, cobalt, and zinc, make life like toxic. The discharge of wastewater in the lake is another pollution. The most potent source of pollution is mentioned in the booklet, what the Supreme Court has said. The throwing of plastic bags and dumping of what other materials have added to the lake, and the growing of traffic with the growth of the town and the big turnout of the tourists has contributed much to the environmental pollution. The increased traffic has in its wake brought noise pollution, and due to this, the Supreme Court has said that in the judgment of Ajay Singh, Ajay Singh ka case. Yes, in Ajay Singh's case, the Supreme Court has said five factors have been given by the Supreme Court. Construction of building is going on unauthorizedly and in a big way. The commissioner has mentioned about illegal constructions of office even by Kumayu Mandal Vikas Nigam of the state government and Lake Development Authority, which constructed several triple-storied flats. Then the Supreme Court has said lakes have developed owing to the landslides and continuous soil erosion, hill cutting and destruction of forests have been confirmed. The collusion of Forest Department offices has been mentioned as one of the causes for the illegal felling. Then the Supreme Court has further said that the horse dung has been removed and horses have been given another place at Sukhatal. Now the Sukhatal, they are having keeping their horses. Now it has been stopped from Tallital to Mallital, and the Supreme Court has just observed Nainital, a beautiful butterfly, is said to be turning into an ugly caterpillar. And this has been done due to the pollution, air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, VIP pollution. This has been remarked by the Supreme Court in the very beginning. And therefore, this judgment of Ajay Singh Rawat, after this judgment of Ajay Singh Rawat's case, horse dung are not coming up on the roads, that is from Tallital to Mallital, and all those persons, horse dung and all that does not lead to the lake. The Supreme Court has said specifically care has been taken to see that horse dung does not reach the lake. If for this purpose the horse stand has to be shifted somewhere, the same would be done. The authorities would examine whether trotting of horses around the lake is also required to be prevented. Therefore, the whole judgment of the Ajay Singh Rawat was based on water pollution, air pollution, building pollution, sewage pollution, and horse dung. These were the factors which have given a now beautiful city to the Nainital Lake. When I was judge of this High Court of Nainital, I have seen that throughout the lake area, it has been highlighted, and the Nagarpalika Development Authority have all been directed to give lighting factor throughout the lake area, and therefore that gives a clue to the environment, that a decent environment is not only the dignity under the Protection of Human Rights Act, but is also a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Now coming to another example of Dehradun, all of you must be aware that there is a society known as Rural Litigation and Entitlement Kendra of Dehradun. He has filed in 1985 in the Supreme Court petition has been filed for removing the mines which are coming to the Dehradun and are destroying the entire residents of Dehradun, all Jakhan area, Rajpur area, and Masuri area were fully equipped with this mining operations, and slowly all these mining operations were removed from the area of Dehradun, that is the municipal area of Dehradun. Now, for that purpose, 3 committees were formed, that is Bhargav Committee, Working Group Committee, and Bandopadhyay Committee. The limestone work completely stopped at Dehradun and other places also, but that was a really achievement done by the Supreme Court, and also the achievement by the citizens of Dehradun itself. The Supreme Court has observed, so far as the limestone quarries classified as category in the Bhargav Committee working group report as concerned, they are divided into 2 classes. One class consisting of those which are within the city limits of Masuri, and the other consisting of those which are outside the city limits. The limestone quarries falling within category of the Bhargav report committee and category 1 of the working group report, and falling outside the city limits of Masuri, should be allowed to be operated subject to course to the observance of the requirement of the Mining Act and all that. But the other which are the working group in the continuous mining operations, and they should be closed down which are within the city limits and all that. And how that the rural development chairman was directed also to close limestone quarries classified as categories in other categories which are concerned with the Masuri, Dehradun and all that. They have been closed. All the minings have been closed. This is the environmental factor which is coming out from Uttarakhand itself. Now, apart from that, I have these for in all these cases, the Supreme Court has relied upon the Govardhan case, that was a T.N. Govardhan. That is the judgment of the Supreme Court which has been relied upon. The student, all you should take read this judgment, also the judgment of the Rural Litigation Kendra, Ajay Singh Rawat case, and Govardhan case, that is of Supreme Court, in which the observations regarding the environmental factors has been given. Now the Govardhan case has been coming up from the Supreme Court. When the environmental matters come, these judgments are being cited. Even in the case of MC Mehta case, where all the environmental factors are involved, pollution case is involved because MC Mehta goes on for pollution stoppage, and all this Govardhan case has been relied. Now, apart from this, now I come to the main factor. Nowadays, what is happening, that I have personally seen the environmental factor when the tragedy has happened in the Kedarnath, that is in 2013, when the entire pollution area, entire houses were demolished due to the tragedy of the coming out from the environmental factors. Now, I have personally visited rehabilitation camps from time to time, and by taking rehabilitation camps, I have rehabilitated so many persons. This was the tragedy coming out from the environmental factor, and that was a very scene where the several persons have died, several persons have been ousted from the, and all these things are coming in the by the Kedarnath. Now the Kedarnath has given a good signal of the rehabilitation. After the rehabilitation, the shops have come up and all that come up. Apart from that, there was another example of the environmental factor in the Chamoli area that is before 3 or 4 months, when the several persons have died due to this environmental factors. The drainage and all the factors were there to close down the environmental facilities to the persons who are living there. And all these things are very important for the environmental factors, that one should take precaution while making a bandh, making the houses and making the shelter for these persons. One should be one should become a shelterless when the environmental factors are not being followed. Therefore, I request all the persons living Uttarakhand that they should follow the environmental factors. They should be away from the Ganges. They should be away from the stones, from the Himalayan range, all these things. Therefore, fundamental right is to observe and also to follow the principles contained, and to protect and improve the natural environment by himself sacrificing, that one should follow the nature. One should follow the nature. That is the nature which is very important nowadays. And therefore, I have also got one example from the American scholar who that is from the Harvard University, who has said 19वीं सदी से वास्तुकला औद्योगिकरण और शहरी विकास का हिस्सा बन गया है। इससे धीरे धीरे पर्यावरण संकट पैदा हो गया है। उनकी प्राकृतिक सेटिंग से हिंसक तरीके से निकाले गए सामग्रियों ने भी भूमिका निभाई है। पहले लोहा, फिर स्टील, फिर कंक्रीट आया, जो पर्यावरण गुणवत्ता के मामले में एक समस्याग्रस्त सामग्री बनी है। पहली औद्योगिक क्रांति, तब तक मानव ने निर्माण किया, तब तक उन्हें प्रकृति का सम्मान करना था। प्रथम औद्योगिक क्रांति ने यह भ्रम पैदा किया कि किसी को भी इस बात पर ध्यान देने की आवश्यकता नहीं है कि प्रकृति क्या तय करती है। भूगोल, मिट्टी के प्रकार आदि की अवहेलना करना वास्तुकला इस शक्ति का एक हिस्सा बन सकता है। अब हम फिर से खोज कर रहे हैं कि प्रकृति की अवहेलना से प्राकृतिक तबाही होती है, which has happened in Chamoli, which has happened in Kedarnath. शहरी बाढ़, भूस्खलन आदि सभी इसके संकेत हैं। All this coming out from the environmental factors. प्रकृति को this has been written by a student of Harvard University, which I am citing before you. All they are also aware about the environmental factors of the Bharatvarsh, environmental factors, how dignity should be maintained from the environmental factors. प्रकृति को ऐतिहासिक रूप से अलग अलग रूप से देखा जाता है। अक्सर वास्तुकला के विरोध में जो एक मानवीय दंभ था, प्रकृति वहां एक बगीचे के रूप में हो सकती है, जिसमें वास्तुकला बहती है, या सजावट के रूप में एक घर के पौधे की तरह। हालांकि अब प्रकृति का उपयोग सजावटी रूप से किया जा सकता है, जहां इसकी संरचना जामित और परिस्थितियों गुणों के एक इमारत में किया जा सकता है। वास्तुकला में आभूषण के मूल में जिसे आकृति के रूप में व्यक्त किया जाता है, जो किसी क्षेत्र या सतह को बनाने के लिए पुनरावृत्त दर्पण आदि के माध्यम से हेर फेर किया जाता है। मतलब नेचर से खेलना अच्छा नहीं है। All these factors are important. Anyway, now I quote Lord Shiva, and in our country, Lord Shiva has full control our environmental factors, just as in Kedarnath, if somebody has disobeyed the natural factors, Lord Shiva became angry, and Lord Shiva has got the whole Bhumi, and he has got the whole environmental jurisprudence has been highlighted by all those in two lines. That is, all the religions teach respect for nature and the necessary balance of nature and spirit. This has been a words of Lord Shiva. Religion, all the religions teach respect for nature and the necessary balance of nature and spirit. The higher purpose of life is acquiring the qualities of the nature and is spiritual. Therefore, life depends upon the high qualities of the nature and is spiritual both, and therefore we should not give disrespect to the nature. And again, in the Gita, it has also been said, all the religions teach respect for nature and the necessary balance of nature and spirit. The higher purpose of life is acquiring the qualities of the nature and spiritual. Therefore, we have to be spiritual in the matter of nature, spiritual in the matter of our religions, to follow the nature. Therefore, a balance has to be maintained between nature and the spirit which we have got. And therefore, my suggestion to the students are that don't spoil your fundamental rights by depriving yourself from the shelter or anything else. Shelter will be good if the environment is good, and all those Supreme Court judgments, that is Chabeli Singh's case or Kapila Hingorani's case, are the have to be read in thorough regarding the human rights and all that. And all the students should read Khadak Singh's case, where the life has been defined, where the life, liberty, and how to deal with these judgments should be on the tips of the students. That is my suggestion to students and my teachings to the students. Let us read these judgments in a thorough manner and follow the environment, follow the nature, and pranam to the sunrise. That is also a nature, a living God which we see daily on the in my house, in everywhere. That is the living sun. It has to be folded with folded hands. I salute to this sunrise, which always in the mind of that is a creation of nature, creation of environment, and that is a living God to whom we salute. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a great session, great learning session. Now, I would like to request all the participants, if you have any kind of question, query, you can use the chat box for asking that particular question.
Pramod, I think there's already a question in the chat box. Kindly check, Pramod.
Yes, sir. There is a question that, sir, kindly please explain the difference between Article 48 and 51A.
Article 48A and 51.
Yes, Article 48 and 51A.
That is almost similar, but the 41A, to protect, word has been given to protect. That is a fundamental duty, and that is 48A is the state duty. Therefore, the difference is one has to protect himself. अगर आप गंगा जी के किनारे चमोली में मकान बना लेंगे तो फिर उसका रिजल्ट क्या होगा? रिजल्ट ये होगा तो आपको प्रोटेक्ट अपना इन्वायरमेंट खुद प्रोटेक्ट करना है, और फिर साथ साथ 48A में ड्यूटी दे देती है स्टेट को कि आपको परमिशन नहीं देगी वहां पर मकान बनाने की. तो दोनों आपस में कनेक्टेड हैं, लेकिन साथ साथ आपकी भी ड्यूटी है, स्टेट की भी ड्यूटी है. Therefore, both are connected to each other.
So there is another question. So she's trying to ask, like, currently we do not have any climate change act dealing with melting glacier, etc. Should we have a climate change act in India? Swecha Malik. Okay, so this particular question from Swecha Malik is trying to ask that we are not having any kind of statute or law pertaining to melting of glacier. So should we have a climate change act in India on this particular aspect?
I am aware of that there is no statute. In fact, I will suggest that the complete environmental commission should be there in order to check all these things, because there is a green tribunal, no doubt, but to the climate of the Uttarakhand, glaciers and all that, I will suggest that there should be a commission for this. And in my lecture also, I will suggest that there should be a commission. I have just need is to form an environmental commission for making the Supreme Court judgments operative and enforceable, because there are so many judgments of the Supreme Court. There should be a commission to get it followed, and that is why I say in the end, need is to form an environmental commission for making the Supreme Court judgments operative and enforceable. Now, I will suggest to the students, to the dean faculty, to the chancellor, Mr. Chopra, and all that this should be, my suggestion should be given to the environmental minister of the central government, that a commission be formed as an environmental commission. For otherwise, these tragedies will happen, either Kedarnath, Chamoli and all that. These will be happening, and therefore there will be a environmental commission to check out all these things. That is my suggestion.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question. It seems interesting. The question is asked by Krishna Singh. She is quoting a particular authority like RTI filed by Uttarakhand government in 2000. So she is asking that, okay, what is the role of judiciary in curtailing that kind of rights with relation to environment, that the hectares of land has been crashed or damaged due to fire. So what could be the role of judiciary in that particular aspect?
The Supreme Court has said in so many cases, National Green Tribunal has taken a so much action on 31st of May 2019 regarding stubble burning. The Supreme Court has said, likewise, this tribunal has taken cognizance of the issue on the news item published in the Indian Express regarding this stubble burns. Now the Supreme Court is taking factors from the National Green Tribunal, also taking prohibiting burning of parali in the states. These are the factors the Supreme Court and the High Court and the National Green Tribunal are taking the active participation in these. Even on the report of the newspaper, the Green Tribunal has taken effect, and therefore all those judicial authorities are taking action in respect of the burning of the parali and all that. Everybody is conscious. You can say everybody is conscious.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question, a kind of reflection, I would say, that why do we talk about human rights rather and not about the human responsibility when it comes to environmental aspects?
Rights and responsibility both are connected to each other. That is why I have read 2D, that is human rights means rights relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of the individual. Dignity, how he will create himself dignity. Nobody will come that आपकी dignity है, आप इसको follow करिए. तो आपकी खुद कर्तव्य है. 51A(G) क्या कहता है? To protect, and that is why in the end Supreme the 2D has said protection of human rights guaranteed by the Constitution, that is to protect. अपने आप को protect करो. 51G से सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने या चमेली सिंह केस ने सब ने कहा है कि ह्यूमन राइट्स को फॉलो करना, टू प्रोटेक्ट हिमसेल्फ. देखिए लिखा हुआ है इंडिविजुअल गारंटीड बाय द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दिया हुआ है कि टू प्रोटेक्ट एंड इम्प्रूव नेचुरल. अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करना है, सब चीजें करना है, तो आपको खुद अपने आप को देखना है. सब चीजें स्टेट तो करेगी, जैसा पहला क्वेश्चन था 48A में, वो तो करेगी. आपको अपने आप को भी इम्प्रूव करना है. आप ऐसी जगह मत रहिए जहां की आपकी बर्बादी के लक्षण सामने हैं. आप गंगा के किनारे अगर जमीन में मकान बना लेंगे तो आप खुद देख रहे हैं कि मेरी मौत आने वाली है. तो आपको खुद भी अपना प्रोटेक्ट करना है, सब चीजें करना है. जो लॉज दिए हुए हैं, म्युनिसिपल बाई लॉज दिए हुए हैं, डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी के लॉज दिए हैं, उसको फॉलो अप करें. ये हमारी कर्तव्य है, हमारी ड्यूटी है. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question, and is trying to ask that we have seen that the aspect of environmental protection and the increase or like to work on the economic aspects, how these two particular things can go hand in hand. Like when we talk about the economical growth in the country, somewhere we are degrading or derespecting the environmental aspect. So how can we deal with that particular aspect?
Environmental factors और economic factors दोनों connected हैं, इसलिए कि अगर आपकी इकोनॉमी अच्छी होगी तो आपको environmental factors की सारी सहूलियत मिलेगी. लेकिन इसके साथ ही साथ the natural resources of earth including water, land, all these things have to be obeyed, they have to be respected. That has also been said in the Stockholm conference. The word sustainable development was used for the first time in Stockholm Declaration, where sustainable development means your economic will also be good. You will have a good lesson of the nature. You will have a good lesson of the all those resources that, like water, etc. Therefore, in the UNESCO, this sustainable development in the Stockholm conference has been used, process of improving the quality of life, and also a tourism will develop, tourism economy will develop from the tourism, and all these things are interconnected. One should be conscious of his own rights. One should be conscious of the natural laws, that is concerning the municipal laws and all that. And Article 48A, right to health, right to other rights, everything. That is the slogan of human rights. Sarve Sham Sukhina Bhavantu, Sarve Santu Niramaya. That is right to health and other rights, as indicated in Article 21. Right to environment are connected with this, and all those should be protected by all of you who are the citizens of the country, who are the citizens of this world, have to be protected themselves. Sarve Bhavanti Sukhana. That is the slogan of the human rights. सबका भला हो, सबको अच्छा अच्छा खाना पीना मिले, सबको अच्छी air मिले. That is the ingredient of Article 48A and Article 41G of the Constitution of India. A healthy life, healthy water, healthy everything.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the question asked by Reed is already been answered and taken by sir previously. And Digvijay, your answer has been your question has already been entertained. So from Akshay Kishore, that the recent incident of bushfire in forest of Uttarakhand has affected the nature a lot. What are remedies and duties on citizens to protect it? Our government authority have the sole responsibility to deal with it.
Government is doing his duty. I have cited before you, National Green Tribunal has also taken so much action for this. All these are going on, but one should improve himself. One should protect himself. That is one should not do anything which is against the nature. They should follow the nature. That I'll say. Thank you very much.
So the last one asked by Mr. Ashutosh Tripathi. So your opinion on Uttarakhand forest fire issue and how to tackle it effectively, as in every year it is destroying a lot of forest cover here, but sadly it is not getting much attention. So it is not basically a question, but your suggestion on this.
That is I have already suggested that there should be an environmental commission for sorting out all these problems. All these problems will be solved. Otherwise, Chamoli, Kedarnath, and all that problem will be coming. Now I have heard that yesterday there was a cabinet meeting of Uttarakhand where the Char Dham Yatra has also been, Char Dham Sansthan is also being amended, where all the temples are being separated from Char Dham, that is from Kedarnath, Badrinath, all that. All these work are going on from the government itself. They are doing that.
Thank you so much, sir. The session is very insightful.
I was Chairman Law Commission Uttarakhand. Then I have also drafted that Char Dham Yatra and all that. Therefore, all these things are going on from the government itself, from the commission itself. But environmental commission, there should be a environmental commission completely divesting all the powers.
True, sir. Very true. So the session is very insightful, sir. I hope all the participants has got the clarification over their questions they have asked, and they might have a very good learning experience in this particular span of 1 hour session. Now I would like to invite our faculty convener, Mr. Ashutosh Tripathi, sir, to give a vote of thanks. Ashutosh, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Pramod. Thanks a lot, Rajesh Tandon sir, Justice sir, for your very informative session. And especially in the context of Uttarakhand, you have raised certain very pertinent issue. And as you all say that environment is one issue which is covered in fundamental right, Act 2 principle, as well as fundamental duty. So we can't rely on everything for the governments. At the end of the day, it's our duty also to do something for preserving and protecting the environment. At the same time, I would like to thank all the participants. Thanks a lot, sir. We would like to host you in future also. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Also, thanks to all the participants who have taken their time to participate in this particular fruitful discussion. I'm very thankful, and today we have crossed the participants number over 150. It is a great number, and we are definitely looking forward to host you again in future. Thank you so much.